Hey everybody, it's Dad, Son, and a game. And we are looking at...
Augustus, and we'll be back in a minute.
So this is the game, Augustus, or Rise of Augustus here in the United States. It's very simple. A complete rules and explanation this will not be, but it will give you guys a real good feel for what the game is about. So basically what happens is you have... I'll go through the components here. You have these cardboard point bonuses here. These basically say that if you have the most cards that have gold, see how that has gold showing on it and that has gold showing on it? If you completed the most cards that have gold on them, you get to claim this 5-point bonus. Same thing for wheat. These say if you complete certain combinations of different kinds of cards, you get to claim these bonuses. And then this bonus is kind of a little different. It's kind of a little more fun. It's almost a push your luck bonus. So you're saying you can only take one of these. So if you're playing with 5 people, then there's only going to be 1 bonus per person. So basically what happens is immediately after you score 2, you may take the 2 bonus, but then you can't take any more of the bonuses. So that's where it's a little bit of a push your luck thing. If you think you can get to 6 cards before anybody else, you can take that 10 bonus there. So that's kind of a fun little like push your luck thing. I mean, I think I said that 5 times now, but that's really what it is. So what happens though in this game? How do you complete cards? Well, that's very simple too. You have this bag here of like tiles, and you shake it up and you pull one out, and we call this one Pink Panther. You'd say Pink Panther, and then I take one of these little meeples, which are kind of crazy looking. They're called legions, and I'd put it on one of my little pink guys here, pink symbols on the cards. And I'll show you one of these cards here now. This card has all the symbols on it, actually. As you can see, it has on the side here, and as those are called out, I could put a meeple on there. So I'm going to keep playing, and I'll go over all the symbols with you as we play. So here is a blue chariot. So I would say chariot, and so everyone may put a guy on a chariot. And then I would say crossed swords. I don't know what the official names are of these, but that's what we call them, or crossed daggers. Yellow dagger. And you can put a dagger down here on this part. So it's a lot like bingo at this point. Pink Panther. Okay, well then I'll put another one on this Pink Panther here, because I had another one of those. Catapult. I have a catapult right here. This is getting full. And then I finally say shield. And I filled this whole thing up. All the symbols are covered up now with meeples. So I could say, not bingo, I could say Ave Caesar. And when I say that, I check off my card, and then I score this. And this is a really crowded setup, but normally I'd have a row of completed cards here, and then cards I'm working on, like down below, I'm here. And first person to complete 7 cards that way triggers the end of the game, and then it's whoever has the most points wins. Now, the things that make this a little more interesting than bingo are these cards have different powers. So the one I just scored, and the one I showed you earlier, has this red banner on the side here. And this red banner indicates it's like a combat card to a degree. So this one says, you may tear up someone's objective. Don't literally tear it up, because you don't want to ruin your game. But you can tear up an objective so that handicaps somebody. This one says when you score this, you can put two legionnaires on the pink symbols. This one says each orange country, so you can see this map how it's orange, is worth 6 points when you go to score. So that's it. The one last thing I would say about it is there's this tile here that you can draw out. This is the Joker, they call it, and it's basically a wild. And that symbol basically says put whatever you want on, but then also that means that I'm going to gather up all the chips that I've drawn out as they call it town crier when you're the bingo caller. And as you're bingo calling, you put things on your own board too. But you put all the chips back into the bag, hand the bag off to the next person, and they become the town crier. So there's different types of cards. There's these senator cards, and there's bonuses that you get for having 3 senators completed. There's these little pink bannered land islands, and the islands are pink on the shore there. There's orange, and then there's green, and then there's a bonus for getting each kind or getting 3 of one. But it's a real quick game, plays in about half an hour, and it's not much more complex than bingo. But is it more fun than bingo? Well, Luke and I will talk about that right now. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how to play Augustus. Luke, what do you think about it?
It's a lot like bingo, only with a little bit more complexity just to make it a little more fun. Also, the component, they could be a little better because
What don't you like about the components?
the cardboard's kind of flappy and the meeples kind of have a little arm action going on.
Okay.
It's easy to learn, but at the same time, it's complex. Like, by that I mean there's a bingo side to it, which is an easy party game, and then there's the other rules, which makes it a little more difficult in a way. So that's just about what I think of the game.
Huh. As far as Augustus goes, I'm going to disagree with you on the components. I think the components are pretty good. The cards are flimsy, but all the cardboard in it is really good, and the little meeples are strange looking, but they're supposed to be like Greek soldiers or something. So I don't know. I think it's pretty good component wise. The cards are square, which I really like, the little square cards that you put your bingo cards basically. I think they're done fine, and you don't handle them in your hands, so they're not going to wear out. As far as the fun and whatever on this game goes, like, I don't like it. I don't think it's very fun. I see the value in it. I see that people might think it's interesting to play and interesting to be involved in. And I will keep this game in my collection for now because it is something Luke likes and that I could play with about anybody with a little explanation. It's also one of those games that I think it's getting maybe a little better with ongoing plays because I'm figuring out which combos of cards work well together. But he said it. I mean, it's basically bingo. And so I feel like the game plays you as much as you play the game. Like, you're waiting for things to happen and you just kind of, I don't know, like, you just have to, there's some strategy in saying, do I want to fill this card or this card first? And there's some strategy in how you pick your cards to make sure you don't have a ton of the same symbol maybe. But it doesn't feel like you're playing the game. Like, you don't have control over your actions that much in it. Like, things happen to you, and that's the bingo part of it. And it's not horrible. It's definitely not horrible, but I don't care for the game that much. So, I don't know. I guess we're differing opinions on this a little bit, and that's fine. So, Luke, what do you think about your overall final thoughts on it?
It's like one of those games where you could bring out at any time, explain it to anyone, just because it's so easy to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you do have a point. The game plays you a little bit, and if you run out of soldiers or you don't have the symbol, you kind of have to be bored for a little bit. But
yeah,
overall, I'm gonna give it a 7.25. Well, actually, maybe an 8.
That's a big jump. 8, Luke says. I'm going to say I'm going to give this 2 ratings. My first one's going to be my personal rating for me as a gamer is a 5. It's okay. I'll play it. And it's fine. If people really want to play it, I'll come along and play it. But there's nothing to draw me in on this game. As far as my family rating goes on it, I would say a 7.5 or 7.25 because, like Luke said, it's simple to explain to people. And the thing that might be nice about this game too is we talk about gateway games in the board gaming community, meaning games that like people who are used to playing bingo or Monopoly or Clue, they can use some familiar aspects of those games and then get into a little heavier or deeper thinking game. Well, this game might be that for someone who's played bingo, and I think everybody's played bingo at some point in their life. So it takes that little familiar part of that, and then it adds the abilities that you have on the side of the card there. So it's kind of interesting. It has some strategy to it. It's just, to me, overall, I don't think it was that fun, honestly. I didn't hate it, but I just didn't think it was horribly interesting, truthfully. So 7.5 for families, 5 as a personal rating. And I don't have any really great reasons why I didn't like it. I just didn't think it was that fun to just kind of wait for the town crier to call things out and then, oh, look, I have that one. And even then, too, like the strategy stuff, if you had like a hand management aspect to it where like you could have like 5 cards in your hand and you know which ones you want to play next and in what order, so you can build things or plan ahead a little better, that might be kind of cool. But even then, like the random cards that pop up, like let's say I was going for senators at the beginning and I wanted to get the 3 senator bonus, and I had 2 senators. I filled them both up, and it could be a while till another senator comes up, possibly. Or if you're trying to get the orange, green, pink land with a senator bonus, which is a big bonus, you might not ever have a pink land come up for you when it's time for you to cash things in. So there's just certain parts of the game that are a little bit, you can do strategic things, but you can't at the same time too. And then like one final thing that I don't really care for in that game that much is you're supposed to have 7 legionnaires that are creating influence for you or whatever. Well, you don't run out of those guys that often. I mean, like, people tend to focus on one card and getting it completed at once, so you don't run out of the other guys that often. I think that's supposed to be a part of the game, that you have to make tough decisions, like, do I abandon this one to go here or not? And, like, that happens a little bit, but not enough to make it a big part of the game, especially when you get to the point where you can add 1 or 2 more meeples. So, I don't know, nothing wrong with the game, but just nothing really right about it either. So that's my final thoughts on it, and I guess Luke really likes it. I don't care for it that much, so that's fine. I mean, we were allowed to have different opinions.
And actually, I kind of agree with you with it's kind of a little lighter of a game, but I like lighter games, so I wouldn't recommend this for heavier gamers, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not a heavy game. I mean, like, I would hope people would have researched it enough to know that not to get it if you're looking for a heavy game. So, at any rate, that's about it. Do you have any final thoughts or any last things you want to say about it?
I kind of just did, but
yeah, you did. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I